The United States military once fired over 1,400 shells at a weather balloon. That is not a metaphor. That is what happened at 2:25 in the morning on February 25, 1942, over the rooftops of Los Angeles. The official death toll was 5, all from heart attacks caused by the shelling, none from enemy action. The overlooked fact is that the Army knew there were no Japanese planes within 2 hours of the first shot. They did not correct the story for 3 days. Frank Knox, Secretary of the Navy in 1942, stood before the press, visibly uncomfortable. The nation was gripped by anxiety, and the pressure was mounting on every official to provide answers, even when none were clear. You know, the misconception is that this was just a funny panic story, but honestly, the real consequence was much darker. The hysteria actually helped justify the internment of 110,000 Japanese Americans, uprooting families and changing lives forever. One weather balloon, 1,400 shells, 0 planes, and well, a pattern of fear that outlasted the war by decades. But the psychological damage was not laughable. If submarines could reach Santa Barbara, everyone assumed carriers could reach Los Angeles. On the night of February 24th, a radar operator at Santa Monica picked up a slow-moving blip. It moved at roughly 5 miles per hour. 5 miles per hour is not a bomber. 5 miles per hour is a balloon. But the operator reported an unidentified aircraft. The word went out. By midnight, every gun battery from Long Beach to Santa Monica was manned and aiming at nothing. Then someone in one of the batteries thought they saw something. Searchlights locked on. The first 37mm shell left the barrel at 2:25 a.m. Once the first gun fired, everyone fired. Firing at nothing is embarrassing. Firing alone is dangerous, so they all joined in. The shells rained down for 56 minutes. Fragments hit houses, cars, and a drive-in restaurant. Miraculously, no one was struck by falling metal. Police switchboards melted down. Callers reported enemy bombers, parachutists, and one woman who swore she saw enemy planes landing on a golf course. By dawn, the Army's Western Defense Command had a problem. They had fired on a weather balloon. Publicly admitting that meant admitting incompetence. So Frank Knox held his press conference. He said there was no evidence of enemy planes. That was true. He did not say what they had fired at. The press filled the gap. The Long Beach Independent ran, "Jap planes over LA. Army repels Raider." The Times ran a more cautious version. General John DeWitt, who commanded Western Defense, later told Congress there were planes over Los Angeles. He had no evidence. He said it anyway. Executive Order 9066 had been signed on February 19th, just 6 days before the Battle of Los Angeles. It authorized military exclusion zones. The panic made the order look prudent, rather than panicked. If enemy planes were over Los Angeles, surely Japanese Americans on the coast were a risk. Within months, over 110,000 Japanese Americans were relocated to camps. The Battle of Los Angeles was not the cause, but it was the alibi. The Army quietly admitted the truth in 1945. The target had been a weather balloon. The report was classified and filed away. It took until the 1980s for historians to pull the full story into public view. By then, most of the witnesses had died. The anti-aircraft batteries are gone. The searchlights are rusting in museums. But, you know, the human mechanism that produced that night is still very much alive. The Battle of Los Angeles is not a story about Japanese attacks. It's a story about what happens when fear meets institutional silence. Every shell fired that night was a small mistake. Every hour of silence from the army made the next hour harder to correct. Military doctrine today includes something called information de-escalation. The rule is simple: if you fire on nothing, say that immediately. The people of Los Angeles were not fools. They were frightened, and they were misled by the very institutions meant to protect them. That is the part worth remembering. Subscribe to War Machiner and share this if you value history that goes deeper. We do not do dramatization. We just do the story, clearly.